When it comes to sci-fi shows, a lot of times they borrow from other genres. And with Star Trek, of course, it was originally sold as a Western in space. A wagon train to a star or something like that Roddenberry pitched and all that. And there's certainly a lot of cowboy elements in it. I mean, even the way they handle the phasers and stuff, they're on their hips and everything, you know. You'd be surprised they didn't have a draw, you know. But anyway, yeah, other genres, most notably with the episodes like Balance of Terror, one of the absolute best of original Star Trek, which of course is based on submarine stories, or the submarine battle and duel with a battleship or something like that, you know. And so that's what that was. And then you have episodes like Court Martial, which is the courtroom drama element applied to Star Trek, and certainly a military tribunal as well in that aspect of it, in which Captain Kirk finds himself on trial for the future of his career. There's an incident where he had an officer die because they were in the middle of an ion storm, and Kirk had to jettison the pod that this guy was in. He had hoped that he had gotten out in time, but apparently he didn't, and he lost a man. But the computer showed that he didn't quite follow the rules. He was well within his rights to make that decision after a red alert, but the computer showed that they were only in yellow alert. So Kirk, of course, logged in his account that he was in red alert, and he was forced to jettison this pod that this officer was in. That's not only is he perjuring himself to the Commodore on this base where he's reporting to, but he's violated the rules in his conduct as captain of the Enterprise. So he has to go to court-martial the Commodore, and to add to the intrigue of stuff, it says, look, we can kind of sweep this under the rug if you just say you were stressed, you know, you kind of lost your marbles. Something like that, so we don't have to have the stain of a starship captain court-martialed, and he would step down, he would not get a command, and probably have to take a desk job somewhere or something like that, and that's not going to work out for Captain Kirk. So, of course, no, I'm going to court, I'm going to defend my mate, you know, and that's exactly what the show proceeds to be. And that's the best part of it. This is a show that kind of, I don't know why, I don't know, maybe I should go back and dig through the special features. Maybe they talk about it, but I just don't really have the time. But it kind of fizzles at the end, and it looks like they kind of had to go back and have Shatner narrate things and all that. So, that's too bad, because they had some of these elements here of, it looked pretty bad for Kirk. And then Kirk, he goes to like a bar or lounge or whatever, and there's a bunch of Starfleet officers there, and they're all giving him the stink eye because they figured, you were a clumsy captain and you got a man killed, and they're already believing the bad stuff that's being spread around, and his reputation is starting to sink, and he's kind of in a mess, and so he's got to go and win this case. And then, of course, the old girlfriend shows up. How many old girlfriends does Kirk have? A lot. Well, lo and behold, she's the prosecuting attorney. Oh, boy, the guy just can't catch a break. So he ends up getting this lawyer who's supposed to be this legendary lawyer type guy. He didn't seem all that impressive to me at all. In fact, the one who really saves Kirk is Spock again. But here the lawyer, and the message being not to be so dependent on machines and computers, because really the only true witness against Kirk was the computer. And then Spock proves that there's something wrong with it. Even though he did the basic checks on it and everything seemed to be sound. But then, as an off comment from Kirk about chess, Spock realizes, let me test that with that. So he plays a game of chess with the computer. McCoy walks in on him. I can't believe you're doing this. You're playing games with the computer when Kirk's career's on the line. And then Spock explains, yeah, but I've just won I can't remember, the fourth match or whatever. And McCoy's, well, that's impossible. You can't beat the computer. And then Spock says, well, let me show you. And he does it and beats it again. And so something's wrong. So it was cleverly done. And then they deduce, well, who could have done this? And all the while, there had been this backstory concerning the officer who had died, supposedly. was an officer that Kirk in his younger days at the, I guess at the academy or whatever, had reported he had, I forget what he did, but he kind of failed at something, and this gave him a demotion, and his career never got back on track, and he never was able to rise in rank and get a command of his own. And so he's been bitter against Kirk all this time, and here he is on the Enterprise serving under Kirk, and he sees an opportunity to get revenge, and so he fakes his death and doctors the computer, because they go through the list of people who could have doctored the computer, and it was a very few, and this officer Finney was one who could do it. And they realize, uh-oh, this was all a hoax and a fake out, you know. And so the attorney figures this out too. So that's his best contribution. But at that point, for the most part, Spock's evidence here is really what saves Kirk's butt. And they demonstrate that the guy's alive by removing most of the crew from the Enterprise. It's only a small skeleton crew, and the tribunal judges come in on the bridge to hear this case. And then all of a sudden, Kirk's lawyer says, you know what, I got to go back down below because I got to get something vitally important to the case. And then we never see him again. I don't know what that's about. They can only pay that actor for so long. I don't know what it was. But, gee, I hope it wasn't he got sick or passed away in the middle of it. I don't know. But he does. He says, I got to go. And that's it. So then they come up with the idea that they could deafen the sounds of heartbeats on the ship with this microphone device. So they do it, and everybody's heartbeat is removed, the sound of it, and then there's still a heartbeat left. And there you go. They realize Finney is hiding in the engine room somewhere and still alive. So Kirk goes to confront him. And this is when he has to narrate everything. The show's running out of time, and you probably could have just figured it out. I don't know why they felt they had to narrate it, but they must not have had the dialogue. And quick, Shatner, come in and read some stuff. I don't know. So he goes down there. They get in a fight. They turn into their stunt doubles and fight. Kirk's shirt gets torn yet again. He has the worst uniforms on the series. His shirt is always falling apart, and he beats the guy because then the guy loses it. He says, I'm going to kill all of you because he shut down the power batteries of the ship or what have you, and this orbit's decaying. And so Kirk has got to set it right, but he can't do it with this idiot pointing the phaser at him. And so the fight ensues, and Kirk gets the drop on him by mentioning, well, your daughter's on board. And he's like, what? And then Kirk beats the crap out of him. And then weeping, he says in the narration, he tells him what he did to the ship. So Kirk runs up there and fixes it, narrating what he's doing, even though, you can see what he's doing, but I guess they felt they needed the narration. But they just didn't have the dialogue between him and Finney for Finney to tell him, well, okay, you got to go to such and such and, undo what I did. So, yeah, that's what they did. So Kirk wins the day, the ship is saved, and the tribunal rules in his favor. He's acquitted. And then later he makes out with his old girlfriend, and she informs him that his former lawyer will take Finney's case. So that's what became of his lawyer, I guess. And all that. But it is, for the most part, a clever use of a genre outside of science fiction. And this really, it's Star Trek, you're in space, but it's more about a military and courtroom drama than it is science fiction per se, because there's not a whole, what the heartbeat sounds and whatnot, a decaying orbit of a ship, I guess. But really, that's about it. This was a courtroom drama refitted for Star Trek, and works out okay. You see some elements that they kind of flesh out more in these stories about Starfleet and command structure and all that sort of thing. And you get a little details of Kirk's backstory and whatnot. So, and, see, of course, in the updated special effects, it looks a lot fleshed out for what, star bases look like on different planets in this period of Star Trek and all that. But based on the original, too, so, But anyway, not bad, not a bad one. Shore Leave is one I thought was probably one of the weakest of Star Trek, but this one, Just the way it kind of fizzles at the end, which I kind of suspect there must have been some sort of problem. I don't know if it was with the actor playing the lawyer had to leave or what have you, or if it's just they forgot to put in the dialogue, so they had to have Shatner come in and narrate what's going on. And it's not even Captain's log or anything like that. He just starts talking over, dubbed in over the scene. So I don't know. But other than that, just a basic thing. And then the whole thing of the Perry Mason moment. Well, there's really no case here because the guy's not dead. So there you go. And of course, Kirk's impeccable record remains. So there you go. Another great Star Trek episode. Not one of the best, but, a good ride. Thank you for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my mini stores that have plenty of goodies for you. Most notably my comic book Night over at indieplanet.com. Yeah, that's right. You can also check out my podcast, The Mr. Nailsin Show, on radiomisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos over at BitChute. That's the Mr. Nailsin channel on BitChute.com.